Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of SportsZone. I'm your host Ben Florence. We got an excellent panel. Actually, we got Aaron Vale back with us, extended absence, and for the first time this season. How are you?
I'm so great. It's great to be back. I left another meeting early to come to this.
Yes.
So those are my priorities this season.
Dedication.
I'm really excited to be back talking about sports because usually when I talk about them, nobody listens. I'm just talking at a person.
Or a camera.
So yeah, or a camera. But this is at least people with similar interests. So great to be back. Great to be back.
Hockey?
I'm being positive for once in my SportsZone career. So let's just move on.
Very true. We love positivity. We also have Deepak and Dylan back, guys. Welcome back.
We got
convenient. We got our baseball experts here with us because right now the 2014 World Series is actually underway as we're taping this right now.
In real time.
So a little vertigo right now or something else. But so Game 7 forced last night in Kansas City by a dominant performance by the Kansas City offense. They jumped on Jake Peavy early in that second inning, and they got this to a Game 7. Dylan showed how has this series gotten to a Game 7? It's been a little all over the place, a little bit of everything for everyone.
No, it definitely has been a little all over the place. Giants started out strong, Royals came back, but last night was really a great performance by the Royals, and them putting up 10 runs is definitely something that you don't see happen every day. They've been known for the small ball, they've been getting those timely hits, but they put really everything together last night. They got a home run from Moustakas. Kane came up and stepped up, going 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. But this is what the Royals do. They step it up when they really need to. And going down 3-2, going back to Kansas City, that's the momentum that they needed. And that's really what carried them. It's a kind of an odd feeling. Usually when the Giants, or most teams are up 3-2, you're thinking that they carry the momentum. But there was something about coming back to Kansas City that even people on ESPN, all the experts, all the big sports shows were saying, you can't count this Royals team out. Odds are in their favor, just statistics-wise. And them coming out, scoring 10 runs, putting 7 up in the second inning alone is very big. I think that momentum is definitely going to carry them through into this Game 7 tonight. And I think that's also obviously going to put them out on top. As I predicted last week, I said Royals in 7 games. I think I was the minority among everyone. Even on the baseball segment of Deepak and Dan and them, I said Royals Game 7, and so far it's getting there, so we'll see what happens after that.
Deepak, you're on that baseball segment. What's been your kind of synopsis of this World Series thus far?
Yeah, I mean, like Dylan said, I was wrong with my prediction saying that it would be the Giants in 5. But no, I mean, this World Series has really been everything that you could hope for. The ultimate underdog with the Royals going up against the Giants, who are looking for their 3rd championship in 5 years. And just to see the back and forth, I want to say, of this World Series is really interesting, especially considering that I believe 5 out of the 6 games so far have been relatively high scoring.
Yeah,
which is something that the Royals were actually really good at, stopping during the regular season. You would never have a very high scoring game, and if you did, it would remain close. These games, you have 7-1 games, you have 11-4 games, you have a 10-0 rout.
Yeah, and
so that's basically been the main focal point for me with this series. Just it's going back and forth, but it's just so drastic with the scores.
Exactly, and these games haven't even been that close. No. But, Aaron Vale, what's been your kind of thoughts? Avid baseball fan you are on the
avid baseball watcher. I'm just going to say there's nothing more exciting than a Game 7. It is really exciting in any sport, period. Although, my hockey bias, Game 7. Oh, so amazing. But no, it's going to be really interesting to see how this finally turns out. Both teams have really stepped it up to the plate, pun intended. And, it's interesting to see this World Series compared to other major championships. Like we kind of had somewhat of a blowout in Denver for the Super Bowl. So, these 2 teams dogging it out till the very end. It's a very interesting series. So looking forward to seeing who wins.
That's right. I think Deepak, one of the real stories of this World Series has been how dominant Madison Bumgarner has been. He's been lights out both times he pitched. They didn't throw him on short rest for Game 5. They started him on regular. They started him on regular rest. But a lot of people thought, will they throw him on? Because he's never thrown on short rest before. Would they throw him tonight? They're going to throw out the cagey veteran Tim Hudson. what's been your thoughts on Bumgarner and manager Bruce Bochy's decision not to, with 2 opportunities to throw him on short rest and not do so?
Yeah, I mean Bumgarner. You look back as well over his course of the 2 World Series he has pitched in from 2012 and now. In over 30 innings, his career ERA is .29 in the World Series. Something that's relatively
pretty good.
Yeah, it's unheard of.
It's pretty good.
And so what I see is obviously that dominance that does last with Bumgarner. The short rest does kind of throw me off a bit. Mm-hmm. Will he still be in that rhythm of just sheer dominance? You talk about the streaks that certain players go on. But I respect what Bruce Bochy does. He knows to pull out all the stops in this game as soon as. Same with Ned Yost. As soon as either starter gets in trouble, the bullpens come in. But before the bullpen, it's going to be another starter, whether that's James Shields for the Royals or Bumgarner for the Giants. So Bochy, working on his 3rd championship in 5 years. Yeah. He really just knows how to work his pen, work his players as a whole.
That's right. And Dylan, some people do expect Bumgarner to pitch at some point tonight. It'll be interesting to see Bochy when he would use him, maybe use him long relief potentially. But what's your thoughts on Bochy not using Bumgarner good on short rest? You think it's a good call, or do you think it's such a decisive game, you need your best horses out there?
I think it's a good call, especially in the game that happened last night. I mean, they were down 7-0 by the 2nd inning. He even took out Yusmeiro Petit. He only pitched, I think, an inning, maybe 2. He didn't go 2. He went 1 inning, and then Bochy took him out. But I do like the fact that Bochy is leaving it open. He said, people have asked him, and he said, we'll see if we need him. We'll see what happens, and if it gets to that, we might use him. But I don't know if he'll actually use him tonight. I think the max he uses him is probably 2 innings. Because you have to think, even a couple days ago, he went 9 shutout innings. So he pitched those 9 shutout innings. At max, a 2-3 day rest. Yeah. You're not expecting him to go 4 or 5 more innings.
Of course.
So I can see him coming in if they really need that inning. If they're warming him up, they give him an inning or 2 to warm up, and they come in, they need that lefty to shut him down for even an inning. I could see them using him tonight.
All right, Aaron, with the beautifully colored fingernails. How about that? Thank you for that. What's your thoughts on this Bumgarner thing quickly? Do you think throw him short rest? Do you think in general? What are your thoughts?
I just think that they're going to give it their all tonight. And this guy is going to play hard, so.
All right.
That's my take on it.
And on that note, we got some more exciting SportsZone coming your way, so stay with us. Money shot.
Welcome to Studio 90. I'm your host, Alan Wynn. Almost did a little Neymar there in my chair. I almost fell over.
He stays on his feet.
Stayed on my feet. What can I say? Just got to bring the class to it. So we got plenty to talk about. Great weekend of soccer. Let's start out with Manchester United 1, Chelsea 1. Silas, what did you take away from it?
Well, I think the key takeaway from this one is if you're a United supporter, you can kind of feel positive after the result. 1-1 against, even at home against probably a nearly invincible Chelsea is a really good result. And I think the dangerous thing for Chelsea going forward is that United provided other teams with a blueprint of how you can attack Chelsea. You pass it along the back, you make sure you have wing backs you can control. You bring Oscar, you bring whatever striker they're playing. You force Fabregas and the battering ram that is Iago Matic forward. And then you slice in between with the likes of Fellaini or Mata kind of filling in those gaps and then sending it in through your forwards. And then you obviously have the mistakes by Cahill on the set piece. Yeah. At the end of the game.
I thought it was interesting. Everyone said that. I thought Fellaini had a wonderful game. I thought that was probably,
great game. Yeah.
Probably his best ever Manchester United performance. Yeah. It's pretty incredible how he, out in the cold. Fellaini is sort of the symbol of the David Moyes era. And he came in 2 games and really, really great performance. I thought he shut down Chelsea and Fabregas mostly very well. The heart of that midfield. That Man United team, they played really well. But I think there's all the controversy about the dive and everything, and it's worth talking about, but it's also not because
he grabbed his arm. Like if he grabbed, the arm's not the ball. End of the day.
I know, I understand that, but then again, if that's a card every time, then every game that Chelsea plays ends because there's red cards because of people tugging on Hazard.
Well, could this be the refereeing finally getting behind Chelsea and kind of punishing them for their very, very physical play? Because they're one of probably the most physical team in the league, and could this be kind of backfire for Chelsea going forward?
No, I don't think so. I think they're a physical team because that's sort of what the Premier League dictates, and I think they really do adapt their play. They're much less physical and more, I would say, organized in Europe when they're playing in the Champions League, for instance.
Yeah.
They understand that that's sort of that's what the competition dictates. Because if you have those tackles, those small, I call them reducer tackles, where you just sort of take
those La Liga tackles.
You take a yard of pace off of a player, then all they do, that's the sort of accepted in the Premier League, but you get a card for that every single time.
Well, speaking of the La Liga, there was a little match that happened. I don't know if you saw it. Something happened. It was Real Madrid, Barca, some hundreds of billions of dollars spent on players.
The pinnacle of soccer quality, they say. I have some feelings about that. But Real Madrid, 3-1 winners with Karim Benzema getting that. What a counterattack at the end. What did you make of that game?
I mean, the fact that Real can play like this without the likes of one of their biggest signings, Gareth Bale. I mean, it just speaks to the possibility of this Real team. I mean, but obviously the positive though is you can play James Rodriguez in his natural number 10 position. You would have Ronaldo coming down the side. But I mean, I think going forward, this was Suarez's first game coming back, and you look at that front line of just Messi, Neymar, Suarez. I mean,
It's pretty interesting, though. It is incredible, but it's a change from Barcelona of the past 25, 30 years. Because they're no longer relying on, let's say, a midfield three to sort of do the work and then create chances. They're working on these three very unique forwards, and they're hoping that they can gel together and play in transition, which I think it's interesting. It's very Real Madrid for me.
Yeah.
Whereas Real Madrid now, they have probably the best midfield combination in the world. They have James Rodriguez, Isco, they have Luka Modric, who for me is the best midfielder in the world right now, no question about it for me. And Isco, who has adapted his role since Angel Di Maria has left.
A lot of counterattack, kind of like Stoke.
Stoke alone. They don't go route one. They don't go route one. But I think the production that they're getting out of Cristiano Ronaldo, it's incredible.
He's the best player, right?
Easily, yes.
Ronaldo's better than Messi.
Right now,
step ladder, no matter what you say. No matter what you say.
I think that I can be a little more diplomatic.
You're taking one player. You're taking one player to start a new club or a franchise if you're MK Dons. Who do you choose? Ronaldo or Messi?
It depends on how I'm feeling on that day. Today, maybe I'll say Cristiano Ronaldo. Another day, maybe Messi, but they're both incredible players.
Yeah.
But again, it's a weird system that they're playing because it's like Xavi's out in the cold, Iniesta is not really there. Busquets, he's sort of here or there, and that back line is not good. Jeremy Mathieu at left back, he was burned every single time.
That's an old left back. That's
every single time.
Yeah, that's a very Liverpool left back.
All right, Manchester City, Manchester United derby, the Manchester
excited.
derby. Who do you think's gonna win?
Well, I mean, City.
City lost today to Newcastle.
Yeah, but that's the Capital One Cup. I mean, what's the Capital One Cup except for Ben Florence's favorite tournament?
Ben Florence's favorite tournament, Capital One Cup. Hey, that's my bank in the cup. For me, I don't know. I think United could snatch it 1-0. City aren't playing well. They're not playing well.
They had this one guy named Negredo who's pretty good.
They had.
Yeah. Oh right,
they had. And then they loaned him to Sevilla or Valencia for whatever reason.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well.
So that's going to do it for Studio 90. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll turn it back to SportsZone.
Top bands.
Welcome back to SportsZone. We're going to shift our focus to the NFL, the National Football League, America's favorite, maybe, some say. Aaron Vale, Dan Legnato. I was so close. And Deepak Bhagat. We're going to talk football. So we're going to start our NFL segment the way this past Sunday started at 9:30 a.m. The London game, which was the Detroit Lions pulling it off somehow against Atlanta. So what are your thoughts, Dan, on the London game? We've had a few so far. Is it going to continue? Do you think, an expansion might happen? General opinion on London games?
I don't think an expansion is happening, and I'm not a fan of the London game. For multiple reasons. First of all, 9:30 in the morning. I'm not waking up at 9:30 to watch football, and I watch every game every Sunday, but 9:30 is not happening. I like my sleep too much. And also, I just think it's such a detriment to the players, because they have to now fly X many, I don't know how many hours it is to London, but they have to fly all the way. Yeah, they have to fly now all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. It harms them. They're probably jet lagged and all screws with their biological clock. I just think there's too many problems for them to realistically think expansion to London. Plus, Los Angeles is waiting for a team and begging for a team. Mm-hmm. How can you give to London before Los Angeles?
Okay, Deepak, your thoughts on the London situation, especially after, the NFL needs to keep their product popular in the U.S., which has been, a topic of controversy. Do you think they can sell this product in Europe or in other places in the world?
I think it's going to be relatively hard to sell it. I mean, you already have rugby in, the world. And another sport that's also called football in England. And so, comparing that, I mean, it's going to be difficult. I think it's a nice change to see. Obviously, if a professional rugby team were to play here in D.C., I'm sure people would want to go see that. I'm sure there are plenty of football fans over across the pond. And so, but this game on Sunday, I mean, like Dan, I didn't watch it, but obviously hearing about that comeback and the
wacky ending.
I know, the fact that the Lions actually messed up and then got a second chance to win it. So how about them apples?
That's great. Okay, moving on to some real action. RG3, Washington's football quarterback, will be starting this Sunday after being injured. Dan, do you think that his return will help the Redskins turn their season around? Do you think that he might get injured again?
I feel like we're always talking about how RG3 is injured and coming back from injury, and this is not the first time that he's come back, and there have been questions about whether or not he's fully ready. And with him, it always is his lower body, which is first of all, it's a big part of his game as the athlete and running quarterback that he is. Second of all, he's got to plant off that foot and throw as a quarterback. If he's really healthy off that dislocated ankle, obviously he's going to help your team. If he's not 100%, it's a risky move. I mean, admittedly, the Redskins probably have nothing to lose because even with their 3 wins, they're not catching Dallas and Philly. It's just not going to happen, despite the upset they pulled last week. It's always risky with RG3. He's really, really fragile, and they've screwed this up more than once now.
That's true. Deepak, do you think that, this is going to affect Washington's decision to possibly trade RG3? Do you think that this kind of paid off picking him up so high in the draft? What are your thoughts on that possible situation?
I mean, like Dan just said, he's a very fragile guy. He is a glass house. One wrong move, and he's 9 times out of 10 out for the season. And so what I feel like, being a running quarterback, he really needs to model himself after Cam Newton. Newton obviously is much bigger, but what's stopping RG3 from bulking up? And so I do see Washington maybe starting to look at different sort of alternatives for the future. Colt McCoy, we saw played well the past 2 games.
Yeah, for Colt McCoy.
But ultimately what's done is done. I mean, you look at all those picks that the Rams got out of that when they drafted RG3. The Rams are doing not pretty well, but they will be doing pretty well in a few years. I mean, they have a new franchise running back with Zach Stacy too. Mm-hmm. So just seeing what the Redskins gave up for a guy who's constantly on the shelf, I'd start to, maybe look around a little bit, be a little cautious.
Mm-hmm. Moving from NFC East to the AFC East, quarterback change in New York. Geno Smith being replaced by Michael Vick to start this Sunday and potentially for the future. Dan, how has Rex Ryan managed to stay in New York this long with no real results? Do you think that making this decision now will affect his position as coach either way, or do you think he's gone? Do you think that this will affect the Jets as an organization? Do you think they'll pull off any big moves following Vick's tenure, I should say?
As a Jets fan, I followed this very closely for 5 years. I'm going to say this: Rex Ryan is done. He's in the last year of his contract. There's a relatively new general manager in John Idzik who has taken his fair share of criticism, and deservedly so. But there's no way that you can sign Rex Ryan to another contract, assuming they tank this year as they're expected to at this point, coming off a dismal loss to Buffalo. And Michael Vick isn't the answer. Realistically, there's a lot more issues than there are at quarterback, but you now have to look at, much like the Redskins are maybe looking, maybe RG3 isn't the guy, is Geno Smith the guy? And he played well the last quarter of last season, but he hasn't carried over. 3 interceptions on 3 consecutive drives in the first quarter alone before he was benched. and dismal and terrible decisions. I mean, that's the biggest problem. Even if you go back way far, Jets quarterbacks make really bad decisions. But yeah, I think Rex Ryan is done. Geno Smith isn't the answer. Michael Vick isn't the answer. There's a whole lot of problems in New York, New Jersey, and it pains me deeply.
Deepak, Michael Vick, stepping it up, affecting the Jets in the locker room. What do you think? Quickly.
I don't think it's going to help much, to be completely honest with you. You know, you got a team that is really just, like Dan said, overall has been struggling. And you got to feel bad kind of for Rex Ryan. You know, his first 2 years taking the team to the AFC Championship game. Now they're kind of floundering about. Honestly, you may mock him for butt fumble, but I think, you know, they could have kept Mark Sanchez and he would have done things very differently and in fact, better than Geno Smith.
All right, let me clarify. I will never feel bad for Rex Ryan. So with that, we are going to wrap up this NFL segment. Keep it locked for more Sports Zone.
And we welcome you back to Sports Zone. Thanks for staying with us. We're going to shift from the hardwood to the hard court. Good to do a little NBA talk. The NBA season kicked off this week. Actually, last night with a troika of exciting NBA action. Actually, only one game was really exciting. But all eyes this year are on not the big three Miami, but the new big three. Kevin Love being traded from Minnesota to Cleveland. You got New Jersey great Kyrie Irving in the mix. And, of course, above all else, the king, LeBron James, returning to Cleveland. Of course, a little different circumstances now from when he departed Cleveland for Miami. None of the bluster, not one, not two, 7 NBA Finals. But now it was more like, we're not going to be ready to win a title, although they're going to be in the mix. They do play in the Eastern Conference. But Deepak, what do you think the expectations really are for this Cleveland club as they form together the first year?
I want to say that the expectations alone are really high. You have the return of LeBron. And that's basically been it. LeBron's coming home. He said that, I'm not leaving no matter what. I'm going to win my championship eventually. And that's his main goal. It's been his goal. He said that too when he went to Miami. He's like, all right, once I win in Miami, if I do end up going anywhere else after that, it'll be back to Cleveland because, well, I'm happy now I have my rings. Mm-hmm. And so the expectations definitely are high. You bring in a guy like Kevin Love, who's going to have to adjust to playing with the superstar caliber LeBron, as well as the up-and-coming, superstar Mr. Kyrie Irving, who, all these guys are going to take a reduced role in the organization. And like, they've said, they may not be winning it this year, though they are seen going to the finals.
Of course.
But give it a few years and they'll be perennial contenders.
It's interesting. LeBron referred to his years in Miami as almost like him going to college, which, South Beach has an effect on a lot of people. Aaron, I know you're a big fan of Kevin Love, so what are your thoughts on this Cavs club?
I am a fan of Kevin Love and his face. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he factors into their offense. Obviously, LeBron is pretty dominant on both sides of the ball. So
more or less.
It's going to be interesting to see how they work together. Cleveland's been through a lot, so I think that it might be finally time for a championship to come to Cleveland. I know it's been a while. Gotta love those small clubs getting the big wins. So
that's right.
That's what I would like to see. So.
Excellent, good stuff.
Yeah.
Dylan. It's interesting this time. Unlike Miami, where you had a coach, Eric Spoelstra, running the show, and then you kind of had the overlord and Pat Riley. This time, they have a new coach, David Blatt, never really coached in the NBA before. Very successful in Europe and most notably in Israel. But for this Cleveland team, they're fitting all the pieces together. The first season in Miami, it took a while for them to get it all together. They got to the finals, but then they lost to Dallas. What do you think are reasonable expectations for Cleveland this year?
Reasonable expectations or what people think is what's going to happen?
Either or.
Right.
What are your expectations?
My expectations, they make a deep playoff run. I can definitely see them making the finals, but because it's their first year coming together, everything like that, there's going to be issues. No matter what team it is, they're always going to run into some issues. I don't see them winning the championship this year. But overall, people's expectations, they have to be the number one favorite. Everyone thinks that they're going to win. Look back a couple years ago when LeBron first left Cleveland.
Yeah.
He left Cleveland, and him by himself brought them to the NBA Finals. Now you have a young Kyrie Irving and a fairly young Kevin Love versus the aging Dwayne Wade and the there but sometimes not there Chris Bosh. I think now, just with all those factors together, everyone expects them to win. I can see them making a deep push. I just don't think that they have all the tools in their first year to get it together. I can see them going along, definitely strong in the East. Like you mentioned, the East, especially over the past couple of years, hasn't been the strongest conference. Right. The Celtics haven't been up there as good as they have been. The Wizards were a surprise team last year. With Paul George out of the Pacers, we'll see how well they can play. So the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to have a good team. I just don't know if all the pieces and all the chemistry is there right now for them to actually win the championship.
You know, it's interesting because you mentioned, even though, Dwayne Wade's still kind of in his prime, Chris Bosh, very good player. But those guys, Wade had led a team to a championship, although Shaq disagrees, but Shaq's Shaq to the full.
Great friend of the show, Shaquille O'Neal.
That's right. And another great New Jersey great, so a little love for the Garden State. But, he had already won a title. Mm-hmm. And LeBron was going to his team. Bosh taken Toronto to the playoffs a couple times. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, a couple guys have never been to the playoffs. So that's going to be interesting, but it's certainly going to be fun to watch. Real exciting offensively, but the team everyone's chasing after. Can anybody go to San Antonio? The San Antonio Spurs, who are the defending champions, won their 5th title in only 15 years. That's pretty good, They returned everybody, Deepak, but are they the favorite? They have never repeated. As it's shown, although the Heat did it, very tough to repeat in the NBA Finals and win it all. But can they do it this year?
That, you bring up a good point. They've never repeated. But I do find them to be the favorites. You definitely still had that veteran core of Duncan, Ginobili, Parker. You name it, they got them. Mm-hmm. You have the Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard, who's going to be taking a more upfront role now. Danny Green, the 3-point threat, by being coached by Pop, by keeping that team together, having all these guys come back, they've been to the Finals 2 years in a row as well. That's also hard enough to do in itself.
That's true.
So they've definitely found that it's possible. It's possible to go back and win. Mm-hmm. You look back 2 years ago, they were thinking, what could have been? How could we have done things differently? And they came out different and they won the championship. By keeping things the same, I see them repeating.
All right, Aaron and Dylan, so many people have thought, does the Spurs team have the motivation to win another title? They had all the motivation last year. They had the championship in their grasp against Miami. They lost it, and then they had all that motivation last year. But guys, quickly, do they have the motivation, and can they pull it off to win it all this year? Aaron first.
I think they do have the motivation. That chemistry that they've built up is still going to be there and really strong. And as long as you have that, I think they're going to be competitive, and they might have a little bit more fun with it, be a little more familiar with each other. So I think that they could go back to the top.
Dylan, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that they have the motivation to do it. Chemistry is definitely there. After 2 deep playoff pushes, other teams in the West being healthier now and not having issues behind the scenes, I don't think that this aging core of a team can make it as far as push this year.
All right, guys, excellent stuff as always. Stay tuned for some more Sports Zone coming your way.
Hello and welcome back to Sports Zone. This is your favorite segment, as it is mine. This is Getting to Third Base, and I'm pretty sure you recognize these people to my left. We got Deepak Bhagat and Dan
Legnato.
Yeah, you don't need a last name.
Thank
Deepak needs it. It rolls off the tongue better. Yours is just
True.
Dan.
You're one of the
fair.
few people that ever actually use my last name.
It happens.
Always my first name.
It happens. But we're talking baseball, World Series, all that sort of stuff. You saw us talk about it earlier. We don't want to focus on that too much today because the game is currently happening, and whatever we say will be outdated by the time you finally get to watch this. So we're going to talk about baseball news in general. And the big news that came out today was that former Tampa Bay Rays manager Joe Maddon, who just opted out of his final year of his contract, after contract negotiations kind of fell apart, has reportedly signed with the Chicago Cubs. Now, apparently the Cubs were reported to be the #1 team, that they were kind of the one interested in him the most, but this happens a lot with them and free agents and whatnot. But the fact that he's actually reportedly signing with them is a big boost to the team. just manager-wise, it hopefully will bring a big boost in players that get to the team. Deepak, break this down. What does Joe Madden joining the Chicago Cubs mean to this team?
Joe Madden is just, it's unbelievable what he did with that Rays organization during his tenure there, going from literally one of the worst teams you could ever see in baseball to a team that went to the World Series in 2008, lost to my Phillies, and then continued then to go to the postseasons for the next 3 years. And, whether it was pulling off that unbelievable run in 2012, I believe, that ended with Evan Longoria's walk-off home run.
Unbelievable
which
run.
It was a pretty cool run.
Heartbreaking.
For you. But just seeing the kind of chemistry and focus that he brings to his job and to the players. And, you also look at who's in that front office. Mr. Theo Epstein. Epstein?
That's Theo Epstein.
Yeah. And all that time that he got to witness what Joe Madden did when Theo was with the Red Sox and Madden was with the Rays, I have to think that Theo had this already planned out for years, that he was going to court Joe Madden. Joe Madden is sure enough going to Chicago, and while you may not see the Cubs obviously having immediate success, you're going to see some definite changes in that system alone.
Definitely. Now, Dan, 9 years as the Tampa Bay Rays head coach, like Deepak said, bringing them pretty much from a joke of not only the AL East but just baseball in general to a consistent playoff contender, great pitching, great hitting, great young players, not to mention 2-time manager of the year. What do you think he brings to this Cubs team? Is he the instant savior that they've been looking for?
Instant savior is a tough phrase to use in this case scenario because the Cubs need a lot of work. But I think that, as you said, he's a 2-time manager of the year, and I think that's going to be very important. He brings a lot of know-how to a very young and somewhat undisciplined team. Like, you look at a guy like Starlin Castro, I think he's going to benefit huge from this because he's had a bit of attitude issues over the years, and I think Madden's not going to stand for that. He's going to get Castro in shape, and he's going to make this team better. As I said, they need work, and I would not be surprised to see Theo Epstein make a trade or two this offseason or sign a big free agent because there's plenty of holes to fill, but Madden is certainly a step in the right direction for them.
Yeah, and like you said, step in the right direction. I see Madden as having that potential of being that manager that everyone knows, that well-known, really, really good coach that lightens the mood, gets the players focused. He has the potential to bring in a big free agent. It might not be David Price level or Max Scherzer level to the Cubs, but he has the potential to bring those people over there. Now, him and Theo Epstein, I think definitely can be a great 1-2 punch from the office perspective to create a solid team, which I think that they'll be able to do over the next couple of years. We'll see where that leads them. Still, as of when I last saw it, it was still being reported. Nothing had been official yet. I don't know if you guys saw anything more. Still kind of in the works, but it's definitely getting close to that. On a different note, from the jubilation of the World Series and Joe Madden finding and maybe being the savior for the Cubs, we're going to take it down a notch, and we're going to have to talk about Oscar Taveras. This past weekend, we got news that the young 22-year-old St. Louis Cardinals outfielder was killed in a car accident in the Dominican Republic. Not to mention the potential that this player had and how much life he brought to a Cardinals organization. He was that guy that constantly is being shown up on the minor league guy on third base when you look at it online. But he was a young, huge star, and it definitely wrecked the baseball community in all aspects. You saw players all over the country paying tribute to him, to what he's done, and everything that he could have done over the next couple of years. And it really is, obviously we're not that connected to Major League Baseball in general, but the sadness that this brings whenever something like this happens, it really is a touching moment to see all of baseball come together, the Cardinals leaving the right field lights on the night after he was killed, and it really is just one of those shocking news stories that you hear. Deepak, how do you think Major League Baseball has reacted to this in general?
Yeah, this is definitely a huge, devastating blow to all of baseball, especially the Cardinals organization. For years, Taveras was seen as the number one prospect according to Baseball America, Baseball Prospectus. And while, yes, he obviously had his brief struggles in the beginning when he first got called up, such as every rookie does, this guy was seen pretty much to be like the next Pujols, the next young Cardinal to come up and actually revolutionize the franchise as a whole. You still have a relatively healthy, relatively young Yadier Molina and company, but it was supposed to be Tavares' organization to run with for the next 12, 13 years. So just seeing how that's going to affect them and the tribute that's been paid is just outstanding.
Yeah, definitely. Dan, how have you seen the reaction just come from Major League Baseball in general?
Yeah, I think certainly it's been a nice show of unity. Teams all over the country releasing statements and posting things on the different social media sites. And you look at the World Series itself. Yordano Ventura last night when he pitched wrote on his cap OT and Tavares' number. And Juan Perez, who somehow managed to get a clutch hit in that game after finding out that one of his best friends had been killed. And it certainly hits home for a lot of players. And the Dominican Republic is a hotbed for baseball players at this point. So certainly nice to see the Major League Baseball come together, but it's sad that it has to be over such a depressing reason.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And it's one of those things that when something like this happens, even with Game 6, Game 7 on the line, it really is great to see all of baseball come together. The players like Yordano Ventura, the St. Louis Cardinals organization, everything, paying out these tributes. And what's probably the hardest fact to realize and put this together into perspective is the fact that just over a week ago, he was playing baseball, his team was in the playoffs, and he hit a clutch walk-off home run to seal the game for the Cardinals. So just putting that into perspective, that's how fast something like this can happen. But definitely a great young player that wasn't even in his prime yet. Our hearts go out at SportsZone to definitely everything that he's done and the St. Louis organization in general. But on that note, that is enough time that we have today. We're going to focus on some more, but we got the World Series tonight. Stay tuned next week. We're going to talk about all that, analyze everything like that, and get ready to the postseason. Thank you for watching. This has been Getting to Third Base.
Hello and welcome to Ice Time. This is SportsZone's NHL hockey segment, although we may dip into the AHL, ECHL, KHL, wherever it takes us. It's all about hockey, and it's the best. So welcome back, Aaron Vale, Deepak Bhagat, and Andrew Wainwright. Glad I got those names right. How are you guys doing?
I'm good.
Doing all right.
How are you feeling about this season so far?
It's a slow start.
It is a slow start. All right, we've got a lot to talk about today. So we're going to go the worst first.
Oh, God.
We're going to talk about the Buffalo Sabres, and that is not because they are my favorite team. That is because they are tanking and are on track to have one of the worst offenses in NHL history. This is all part of their rebuilding, suffering mode to acquire a high draft pick, if not the number 1 draft pick, which would be Connor McDavid. Many are speculating. Deepak, what do you think of this strategy? Other teams have employed the strategy of tanking to get other players, but the NHL is making modifications to make it a little bit harder. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's a worthwhile strategy? Do you think it'll pay off, or do you think it'll just, keep pushing them down, down, down?
Well, for the Sabres, I hope it doesn't pay off. But I see, obviously, the tanking strategy to be a unique. Well, it's not so unique anymore, actually. You see it in basketball as well with Tankadelphia, the Sixers right there. And it's a good strategy. I feel, obviously, you're not intentionally losing. You're just putting out your players knowing they can't win. And, that's why you always have to look at a coach who you could sign, long-term. Let them know that it's not their fault. So it actually brings together an organization to, seem that, yes, it's down times right now, but good things are coming. But, you look at what the Sabres are doing, but then you have to look at the team that's actually still below them in Carolina. So,
That's true.
You may be competing
It'll
with
be an
them
interesting,
for the worst of the worst.
Yeah, the bottom of the standings will be more interesting and exciting than the top, which never happens. That's also an exaggeration. The problem with that exciting. Andrew, what are your thoughts on the strategy? Do you think the NHL is going to try and affect the draft stipulations any more stringently? Are there going to be any more regulations put on it, or a kind of stigma towards not doing this, since it's not fun for the fans to watch, obviously. It's not really good for the league. The league wants to put out the best product they can, and this is the opposite of the best product. What do you think?
I think they already made changes to the draft system with the top 3 picks and the percentages. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think tanking is the best way to get good players. Connor McDavid really is going to be a generational player, just like Sidney Crosby is, and he's going to put up those numbers. But I think you have to look at a team like the Edmonton Oilers who have a lot of first-round first picks, and they're still in the bottom of the league. And I think it just goes to show you have to have the right management and coaching and the veterans on the team, which the Edmonton Oilers don't have. And I think the Sabres have made good strides in signing Brian Giunta, Josh Georges. I mean, they have the leadership. They have a lot of young stars. I mean, they have probably 4 good first-round draft picks from the last 2 years on their roster who haven't really found their spot yet. Probably because they're European players, but still, I think their time is going to come. It's not going to be next year. I don't think McDavid's going to make an impact right away. Then again, he very well might. I mean, I think it's a 50-50. But I think Buffalo, there's like a caveat to it because it could work out really well, but it could go wrong in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, be an exciting development a year in advance, so, thinking ahead on SportsZone. A pressing issue, though, is we'll shift to another team in the East, the Boston Bruins. They lost their defenseman, Zdeno Chara. He's injured. He has a posterior ligament, some sort of injury. Obviously, he is a veteran player. He's very, very good. He's been in the league for a long time. Very well known. Deepak, how do you think this is going to impact the Bruins? Is this a big loss? Do you think they can get over this without them and kind of sustain their dominance of the Eastern Conference until he comes back?
It's definitely a huge loss for them. Right now the Bruins are sitting in 5th in the Atlantic, and Chara, correct me if I'm wrong, he also has the hardest slap shot, I believe, in the league.
I don't know specifically, but probably.
Yeah. And so it's it's just having that threat out there. He's your big man. He's your guy that you go to. You see this in a lot of sports. You lose your big man, bad things are going to happen. And just having that veteran play, that veteran person in the locker room alone does wonders. And now just missing him on the ice too, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, Andrew, what do you think this does for on the ice team chemistry?
I think in general, because the Bruins have already given up Johnny Boychuk. They traded him to the Islanders, and Johnny Boychuk was, I'd say, their second line or their first pairing defenseman with Chara. And with that loss, in addition to Chara, I think that leaves a big hole. I mean, you're looking at Dougie Hamilton, Adam McQuaid. I mean, they're good defensive players, but every team has their stalwart defenseman, and the Bruins lost it. And for a team that's struggling offensively, they're going to get hit really hard. I don't think they're going to recover when he comes back, but they're going to dig themselves in a hole for a while.
Great hockey talk. We're going to switch gears to our mini segment within a segment, started by the great Paul A. Lopriato, former Ice Time panelist. This segment's called Air Your Grievances, and basically space for you to air your grievance with the league, with a player, an official, a channel. So anything you've got, Andrew, your news, well, you go first. Any issue you've got with the league or your team, this is the space to do so. This is a safe space, so.
No. Can I do one or how many?
You can do, let's say, well, how long are they? Probably one to start.
Okay, so first of all, I'm second team St. Louis Blues, and I don't know if you guys have been following it, but there's been a flu outbreak in some Western Conference teams, and Blues have suffered from it significantly. I mean, Paul Stastny's already out of the lineup, and half the team has the flu. Like, that doesn't go well for our team. So.
Okay, and grievance against the flu. Deepak?
I'm going to actually go to some news that happened a few weeks ago with Chris Pronger's new role working in the NHL. Great for him and all, but obviously that salary cap space still kind of a big issue for the Flyers.
That doesn't actually affect it.
It doesn't affect it though, so I'm airing my grievance.
Okay, so grievance negated.
Grievance negated. Blackhawks are insane.
I'm gonna quickly air my grievance. I was watching the Sabres Sharks game the other night. It was on really late, and for some reason my NHL Game Center kept kicking me off. It was kind of annoying. Obviously, it was like, the product telling me to stop watching the Sabres because they're so god-awful, but I was annoyed. I paid for the subscription. I would like to see the games. So that's my grievance. So we're going to call quits there. It's been a great Ice Time segment. Looking forward to more hockey talk next week. This is SportsZone.
Welcome back to SportsZone. We'll do a little ode to Eric Wilkins with the throw.
Oh my God.
Alan Wynn caught it in the back.
I don't know.
It's time for our favorite segment of all time. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah, I've got thumbs. You've got thumbs. Everybody loves it. What's good? What's bad? What sucks? I don't know. Whatever you got. Don't show. Take it away.
Okay, we're gonna jump around a little bit this week. I usually try to keep them organized. Follow along at home.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly. Thumbs up. Go to New England Patriots this past week.
They surprise.
completely. Hey, wait for it. Completely destroyed the Chicago Bears this past week. And it makes it better because one of my closer friends from here is a Chicago Bears fan. I really had to refrain from posting something on Facebook because she would probably kill me. But thumbs up to them. Thumbs up to Tom Brady. People thought he was kind of losing his luster, everything, couldn't really do much. Him and Gronk connect for 3 touchdowns. Brandon LaFell adds 130, 140 yards and a touchdown himself. They're rolling along, gonna keep going in the AFC East, and I'm hoping for a deep playoff push.
Gross.
But pay attention this week. Denver Broncos matchup in New England. Probably game of the week. Calling it right now, right there.
Yeah.
Thumbs down is going to go to the Chicago Bears.
Oh, come on.
God.
But what we're also going to do is we're going to tie this into a thumbs down for the New York Jets at the same time. Patriots this past week scored 3 touchdowns in 57 seconds. The last time they did that was the last time they scored 3 touchdowns in 52 seconds against the New York Jets. And I see Dan shaking his head in the back because everyone knows that was the notorious butt fumble of Mark Sanchez. So when anything's tied to the butt fumble, you know you did something bad. So thumbs down to the Chicago Bears. Building off the New York Jets, we're going to give a thumbs up to the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, wow.
Thumbs up Buffalo Bills.
Shocked.
They completely destroyed the New York Jets this past weekend.
It wasn't that complete, so let's
Sammy
just
Watkins
back it up a
celebrated
little
too
bit.
early.
I mean, they got 3 interceptions off of Geno Smith in the first quarter. They had to bring in Michael
it was
Vick.
great, but-
Kyle Orton had 4 touchdowns himself. Just take the praise. There's not many times
have
that I'm
a
going to
run
give a
game.
thumbs up to the
We don't have a run
Buffalo
game,
Bills.
so.
So we'll see how long this lasts because Aaron isn't liking it. But that's my last thumbs up, thumbs down. Just overall
I'm
really
really
good week.
surprised by
Excellent.
that.
Good.
It's
Aaron
me.
Vail,
All
yeah.
right, thumbs up. Last weekend was the Women's Club Soccer
Yeah.
regional tournament, and it was super fun.
What?
And we did not have a great outcome on the scoreboard, but it was a good bonding experience. And it was a lot of fun. We had some fun at TGI Fridays. It was all
Ooh.
good. We stayed in a really sketchy
High class.
motel in Delaware. Delaware is a terrifying wasteland of state. Can I just say, no offense to Delaware, but there is nothing in Delaware besides a big highway, and it was with just
and the tolls
motels
there
and
are
Dunkin' Donuts
outrageous.
and other lovely
from New
establishments.
Jersey?
Anyway,
Yes.
They don't have taxes.
we're gonna do thumbs down to
I'll get into
Sammy
it.
Watkins. Sammy Watkins showboating on his
Costly
what
fancy
could
place.
have been a
Costly
really long,
didn't have him
nice
sitting?
80-plus
No, I had him playing.
yard touchdown. He was waving and got tripped up at the 3. So classic rookie mistake. Sammy, I still love you. I know you're still going in the Hall of Fame because you are you are incredible. Incredible. Shout out to Fred Jackson. Please get healthy.
Yeah.
Thumbs down to the Buffalo Sabres. But it's also a thumbs up because they are tanking, which is good because we want McDavid. So thumbs up to the thumbs down of how terrible they are. Thumbs down to my November because all I'm going to be doing is work. I have 2 10-page papers due the Monday after Thanksgiving.
What?
Because this is a cruel, cruel school. I'm not doing work over Thanksgiving break. So that means those papers need to be done by November 25th. Guess who doesn't have that time? Me. So thumbs down
have the
to
time.
school.
And you.
Okay. Thumbs up to SportsZone. Hopefully this episode records this time. Moving on.
Hey, we recorded last week, so
You just weren't here.
Yeah.
I was okay. I was really sick and dying.
okay,
So thanks
okay,
everyone.
Well, you're here.
All right.
didn't
Well,
die.
Here
I
now.
want to go thumbs up to the World Series going 7 games. Hey, no, the underdog, the Royals, they're doing it right now. The game is currently on, so hopefully they pull it out and they win. Another thumbs up to the Detroit Lions winning that game in London. Also, the fact that football is in
Which is
London.
a joke.
No, because
Gross game.
they won on their own fault.
Yeah.
Delay of game. First they missed the field goal, so they get to do it again and they win it. So
Was that a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
that's a
'Cause it could be
thumbs.
both.
That's a thumb.
Yeah. Ugh, it was
It's
awful.
like right in the middle. Right in the middle.
Yeah.
Thumbs down. Thumbs down goes to Sammy Watkins for celebrating too early, costing me some points.
He got a touchdown later.
Also goes to me for benching Emmanuel Sanders.
Good call.
Oh my God.
In one of my
lost in fantasy this week.
30 points
Ridiculous.
down the drain.
Ridiculous.
I cried a little bit. Lost to the Mike Friel, by the way, who was not even
The
playing.
great Mike
Mike
Friel.
Friel is destroying this year.
Rest in peace.
Thumbs down
Not
to the
rest in
ATVers in the
peace.
back who are just staring at me right now, freaking me out. And finally, thumbs down to the Eagles for losing and losing.
At least you're not the Jets.
Yeah.
Or the
That's
Bills.
true.
Oh wait, the Bills are actually
The
doing well.
Bills are
Let's save
in
it.
the hunt, everyone. It says if they come up in the
Moving on to
graphic,
bed.
they would make the
All right.
playoffs today.
Moving on to
season
bed.
ending.
All right.
That's today.
All right. So first, thumbs up to
Miami,
Time.
Jersey.
Time is great. Chicago Lighthouse, great company.
9 wins.
So thumbs up to that. Thumbs up to Southwest Airlines as they're, doing their thing. But I'm flying to Missouri this weekend. Show Me State. Southwest Airlines taking me from the legendary Reagan Airport to another legendary airport, MCI Kansas City. Hanging out with my boys. Going to do 3 radio shows in 6 hours on Friday. It's going to be awesome. Going to Mizzou. They're going to lose to Kentucky this weekend. So that's going to be exciting. Just a lot of misery on the Columbia campus. Thumbs up to Geet Jaswani. I've seen him bounce in and out of the studio.
Wait, Geet's in the back?
Yeah.
Great guy.
Abby's
Well, he's
back
not
there.
anymore.
Abby's back.
Thanks to
Where's
you.
Abby? Where's Abby?
Thanks to you. No thumbs down this week. So
Wow.
for everybody, I never prepare really anything for this.
Who does for this whole show?
Or for the show at large.
Just kidding.
You
I studied
don't
so hard.
prepare.
That's a lie. That's
They
a
don't
blatant
prepare.
lie.
We know what we do.
Happy
No, you
Halloween.
don't.
Hey, thumbs up for Halloween.
Thumbs
down to
up.
Helen.
You know what?
I agree with
Thumbs
Aaron.
down
Thumbs
to
up.
Erin Vale because I love the soccer segment. She's a hateful human being.
I don't like it either.
I thought it was great.
Alan Winslow.
got it, yeah,
After
that's
on
real.
that note,
Oh, that's appropriate.
as our good friend Geet Jaswani, one of the
Geet!
consiglieres
Breaking
of
the fourth
ATV,
wall.
Walking in during our segment.
as yeah. So on that note,
Are we timing this at all?
for everybody here at
Really
ATV,
professional.
as people continue to talk over me while I try to wrap this show. For everybody up here, everybody in the back, you guys are all great. I'm Ben Florence. Please stay tuned for some more SportsZone down the road. ATV, great as always. We'll see you later.